Hello, people. Hello, 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 hello. Hello. Welcome, 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 welcome. As usual, welcome, welcome. Hey. Good evening, Dr. Farrington. Hello. Elena. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Hello, Elaine. From Scotland. I love Scotland. Haven't been there, but I'm dying to go to Scotland one day. One day, indeed, I'll be there, drinking scotch, looking at castles, walking the woods. Hello, Anne. Good to have you back from Germany. Also a place I want to see. Hello, Anne, as well. Likewise. Pleasure. Howdy. Hello, Elizabeth. Good to have you here. Good to have you here. Hello, everyone. Jeez. Marija. Who else is here? Kathy. Oh, Druti and Mandeep. James. Chiapa. Good to have you. Milena. Fantastic. Hello, Christine. Terje. Ah. The yellow one on IG. I'll do that, Terje. Okay, Christina, I see. Fantastic. Terje, I will do an edit on that. That was quite a big one. I did find myself kind of wanting to make something out of some old photos. I saw that one and I thought, let me work on this, make the dust pop, make the, I don't know, find some contrast in it. For those of you that are wondering which photograph Terje speaks of, while we wait a few minutes, it is, this is something I wanted to watch, by the way. This man was captured by Al-Qaeda. Anne Nichols showed me this and I want to get to watching it one day. 6 years he was a captive. Let me get rid of that. I'm going to watch that at some stage. Where was that photograph taken? Was it Zambia? It was Zambia. This is the photograph Terje speaks of. Elephants playing in the dust. That's the one. I'll do an edit. I'll do an edit on that very soon. Very soon. Yeah, that's the one, Elizabeth. We'll do an edit. We'll do a session on that. That was quite a bold edit. Hello, Alice. Hello, Alice. Pechty. Oh, man. I'm out of practice. 3 minutes in. Lovely. I think we can start, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, I bring to you MalaMala. This place is a place of mystery, and I'm sure to those who have been and those who haven't, has haunted your dreams, and for very good reason. I've worked at a lot of places in Africa that I'm super grateful about, and MalaMala has got stuff, things, aspects, elements that separate it from the crowd. That's why we have to book it 2 years in advance normally in season, and I'm going to show you why. Not for very long. It doesn't take long to describe it, but I'm going to show you a few things, 3 aspects, explain a few things. This is an open conversation as well. If you have any questions about MalaMala, feel free to bring it to the table and I will answer it as best I can. I worked there for 2 years and it was hands down the best Big Five game viewing. Big Five, those of you know the Big Five. leopard, elephant, rhino, hippo. What did I miss? Lion. No one? Oh, okay. Come guys, wake up. Hippo is not part of the big five. Nice, Terje. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yes. Guys aren't sleeping. Yeah. So what I won't say is that it's the best experience. Experience is something that's unique to the destination, and everywhere is so different. But in terms of seeing rhino, elephant, buffalo, lion, and leopard, this place is hands down the best place in the world to see it. I'm going to show you why. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you about the accommodation. It is interesting. Yeah, Terje, it's on the pricey side. But if you think about it, Terje's got a good point. It's not, I'm just going to bring up some of my first backgrounds as we talk about this. If you think about it, main camp, there's 3 camps, MalaMala. The video behind me, let me get out of the way a little bit. The video behind me is the bar at Sable Camp. And that's kind of what it looks like. All David Livingstone leather, old images on the wall. MalaMala is one of the oldest game reserves in Southern Africa. And it was actually in the 60s. It was actually in the 30s when it was considered a game area, but it was used for hunting. It was actually in the 60s when they changed from hunting to photographic. And it's been, growing more and more popular. And even then it was known as one of the highest densities of especially predators in Africa. Huge densities of predators. And there's 3 camps in MalaMala. Main camp, Sable Camp, and Rat Race Camp. Rat Race Camp's their most high-end camp, lodge, very fancy, big rooms, plunge pools, massive rooms, 2 different showers and bars and all the bits and bobs that make a really, really, really high-end 5-star plus lodge. And then there's main camp, Sable Camp. This video is actually Sable Camp. Both camps are very similar. What Sable Camp's just a bit smaller, and main camp or Buffalo Camp is a little bit bigger, but the look is pretty much the same. Often you'd use Sable Camp for families or big groups that knew each other. They would take Sable Camp exclusively. Both of them have their own pool, and the rooms are nice and spacious. And Terje, you have a good point about price. If you think about what you're paying for, now there's other lodges in the Sabi Sands, and I'm not going to mention names. There's beautiful lodges in the Sabi Sands, and I respect them all. I respect their properties, and the game viewing is amazing. It's just MalaMala has access to a massive chunk of land, much bigger than anyone else, and they have it to themselves, which means, and I'll get to this part, the experience part, but one of main camp's rooms can go these days for $850 a night, and you're paying $850 a night for what's undoubtedly the best Big 5 game viewing on the continent. So it is kind of worth the price. And if you think about it, the price isn't actually that steep for what you're getting. If you were paying that amount of money to go to another game reserve where the game viewing was good, but not the best, I'd say, yeah, it is pricey. But because you're paying literally for the best Big 5 game viewing on the continent, the price is pretty good, although still big. Are they still built? Yeah, listen, Botswana and the Delta, you're paying a couple grand a night. And although, listen, I'm obsessed with the Delta, it's one of the most beautiful places on earth, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for the Delta experience. Elaine, in the Okavango Delta, there is options, but in the good places, you are paying a couple grand a night, $2,000, sometimes more. Sometimes a little less, but you'll battle to get a little bit less in the good areas in the Delta. It's a very expensive destination. Botswana is a big place. I'm talking about the Okavango Delta specifically, and you can spend much less on the peripheries and in other areas. But in the main Delta and the good areas, a couple $1,000 a night is quite normal over there. So for MalaMala, $850 a night. This is what you get. This is the place. That's the bar. This is the lounge. Again, you can see leather. I'll show you a little bit of what the rooms look like inside, but the reason why I'm not going to show too much is because you spend so little time in them, and I'm going to get back to that. That's going to wind back onto when I talk about the experience of MalaMala. That's what separates it from everywhere else and makes that price so worth it, every single dollar. And that's how I'm going to get onto it now. That's the inside. Those are images, videos I took with my drone. Lots of leopards, yeah. So all three of these camps are situated on the Sand River. The Sand River runs from the top of the Sabi Sands all the way down to the bottom, the south. Okay, and it is a hub. In high season, it becomes one of the only water sources. Other reserves have built dams to try and draw game onto their reserve, but the Sand River is very clean water, very fresh water, and it draws in big buffalo herds from Kruger, elephant herds. I mean, literally, there's times there where I'll show you now, where you can be surrounded by 100 elephant. It is unbelievable. That river draws in so much on its game. And this is what really is special about MalaMala. It's got a huge stretch. Literally, that river enters MalaMala at the top of the reserve and runs down. MalaMala is long and thin, runs down all the way to the bottom. So the whole reserve is the Sand River. This is why it's so dense with game, not only plains game, but the predators that follow the plains game too. And all these camps are situated, whichever one you want to stay in. We run a trip, we stay at main camp because it's up to you. All the camps are beautiful, but you really spend so much time in the bush. There's no rules at MalaMala about you have to come back for breakfast or lunch or dinner. You spend the whole day out, and we often do, especially as photographers, we go out there and we spend literally from 4 in the morning till 7 o'clock at night, sometimes even later, 8:30 at night, depending on what you find. And then you come back for dinner. So you seldomly remember, if I'm truly honest, and I must be honest with you, that is part of what my duty is to be honest with you about the trip. You won't really remember, as beautiful as the rooms are, you won't really remember them in 20 years' time. You're going to remember chasing after lions at night while they're hunting, or wild dogs in the morning, these are things you're going to remember. This is what really is special about MalaMala. And I'm going to get into now the experience of MalaMala. And one of the great things, this is Lucky Majola, I can't remember. I used to work with him as a fellow guide because he's cruising his guests across the exact river I'm telling you about, the Sand River. You can see everyone there is having a jolly good time. And this is what the good thing is. You can see this is actually a family group of guests. But MalaMala is very good at sticking 6 guests on a Jeep at maximum, which is one of the great things. You see other camps, they stick 9 people, sometimes 10, 11 people on a Jeep. This is 6 guests maximum. When we go as Wild Eye, we even cut that even down to 1 per row. So there's a lot of Jeeps on MalaMala, but not all of them are always driving, which gives us the freedom to spread people off on their own Jeep. So you're never shooting over someone or getting in the way. So you always spread out on the Jeep. One of the main things about it. And while we're on this picture of Lucky, another great thing about MalaMala is the guides, really good guides. And the guides know makes such a difference in your experience when the guides know the land. They get to know the leopards, they get to know the lions, they get to know it to the point, and without blowing smoke up, without tooting my own horn too loud, we'll use a different metaphor. You do, after spending time with them, you know this certain leopard was going in this direction, he's going to cross the river here, we're going to race across the river, we're going to get in front of him, we're going to get him jumping across the river. And the guides just know it, and they're interacting the whole time. This is the great thing about MalaMala. One of the other great things about MalaMala is now the guides have radio contact with each other, and they're always working together to make sure you're in the right place at the right time, and you get these great sightings, which just seem to happen all the time. And let's just keep going between these videos. This is what I'm talking about in the dry season. Elephants. My head's in the way of the Jeep. You can see the Jeep over there. This is such a regular occurrence in MalaMala. Almost every day, you can head down to the river, find one of the preferred drinking spots, and herd after herd after herd of elephant come down and drink, and you can literally park in the middle of them and enjoy and just have the most intimate personal experiences with the Big Five. I keep saying Big Five. It's not a term I really like to use, just because it sounds a little bit, I don't know, generic. But it is true. I mean, there's few better places where you can experience these animals so close. There's another The video from MalaMala of lions is an old Majingalan male. They're all dead now. Passed away, I think, quite soon after this video was taken, actually. This was him running into the south of MalaMala and trying to look for new territory. It's quite a crazed old lion by this stage. So yeah, this is it. And not only Big Five, one of the best places to see wild dogs. Many packs. I think when I was there, we could count about 4 different packs. Yeah, Elaine, it really is incredible. And for all the above mentioned reasons, the lodges are all situated on the river. You can literally go game drive. And sometimes, I remember often coming down from my room to the guests who were sitting on the deck of main camp and getting ready. We were all having coffee, or we were there before, but we were waiting for the guests to come to the deck. We were having coffee and muffins and little snacks and stuff before we went out, and sometimes breakfast if you're leaving early. And we wouldn't get going for a couple of hours because there would be lions hunting buffalo or waterbuck right in front of the deck, because in front of the deck is one of the busiest places on the river. So too many times to count, this action would go down right in front of the lodge. And those, if we had guests who weren't photographers, we would just watch it from the deck with coffee in hand. Those who were photographers would race around, get to the river, try and get good shots of what was going on. I mean, it's just, we used to call it almost high octane game viewing, where there's so much going on because leopard densities, lion densities, and prey densities were so large that there was so much action all the time. And you just hear on the radio, like, oh, okay, let's go, there's a leopard hunting something, let's go, lion hunting something. I mean, don't get me wrong, I make it sound like it's easy. You still have to work when you're there. We had to track and we had to predict, and sometimes it didn't work, but more often than not, you were graced with just incredible sightings. And those of you who've been to the Sable Camp before, you can know how relaxed. That's actually the front of my Jeep next to this leopard. How relaxed these animals are for literally since the 60s. You must give credit to Londolozi on this front. They habituated a leopard in those areas, which I think was the start of many leopard being habituated, to the point now where all the leopard habituated. And this is now one of the differences between the sands and other places where leopard viewing is good, is almost every leopard within the sands is habituated to an extent. There's the odd individual. So, I mean, I think when I was at MalaMala, we could count 24 different leopards. Yeah, I think it was 25 different leopards on about 13,000 hectares that were fully habituated. That would, like this one. I mean, this is a youngster cub, so they're quite curious with us, but they would often walk right next to the Jeep. 24 different ones on 13,000 hectares. That is a lot of leopard, a lot of habituated leopard. And I know there's been arguments about, where's the best place to see leopard. There's quite obviously MalaMala. There's amazing other places like South Luangwa and Zambia, incredible place to see leopard, but it doesn't have the amount of habituated leopard as MalaMala have. Almost every leopard you see is going to be very chilled, walk right past the car, sometimes used to scent mark the car, literally just turn around and spray the wheel, something, and keep walking. So one of the really great things about MalaMala is the leopard viewing. Cheetah, I must be frank, it is not the best place in the world to see cheetah. Cheetah being further down on the predator hierarchy list, food chain, incredibly fast, but not very good at, it doesn't have the strength to defend themselves, which means they get out-competed by lions, wild dogs, especially hyenas, leopards even. So cheetah, we did see them. This was a mother and cubs. We used to see them regularly. But if we didn't have these resident individuals that would come in and find residency in the reserve and then come out, that became quite difficult to find. So cheetah were hard, although we saw them fairly often. There's definitely better places, Serengeti, Masai Mara, to see cheetah because they have much bigger areas to spread out and have their own territories without such dense pressure from other predators. So although we did see them, this is a mother and cub that just suddenly ran off after a wildebeest. They're a little bit more difficult to spot than the other animals, but the other predators definitely made up for it. This is a Senegal bushmale. He was a fantastic leopard. He is a fantastic leopard. I'm still following MalaMala, and he's still there, still running around. moodiest leopard in the world. They would come lie right next to you, everything's happy, and then all of a sudden be infuriated by your presence and growl at you and charge. And I think most of the rangers, they had a couple of interesting experiences with the Senegal bushmale, but an incredibly fascinating leopard. And part of the experience of MalaMala is the guides know these leopards really well. They know their history, they know their lineage. So you get to really know these individuals. They tell you who his mother was, who his father was, who his sibling is, or if it's still alive, and where his territory is, and who he's mating with, and literally everything. And you'll get to know these leopards like they're almost your friends during safari, because so much is known about them. And I know it's sometimes said it's a negative part, like, you know, there's supposed to be, you're not supposed to name leopards or characterize them too much, but you know, these leopards are they're only named after the place where they're found. So it's not like they're named Bob or Charlie, or no offense if there's any Bob or Charlie online. They're only named after the area, and they're only done so that more and more research can be done on them and know more about them. And even I was a bit apprehensive when I first went into this place, because before that, leopards for me were myths. You know, I saw flashes of them every now and again in national parks. But when I got here, you really get into it when you start to learn about their lineages and their territories and the intricacies. You'll never, let alone photograph leopard, learn so much about leopard and lion and other predators found in the area. So that's some of the things you can expect at MalaMala. Really, some of the best game viewing, really exceptional guides, and you get to stay at a pretty lodge. And the food is amazing. I used to stuff my face beyond imagination on the food. It's really incredible. So I don't have any pictures of the food. Unfortunately, I can't show you that, but I can tell you that the hospitality is top notch. And when you come back after a full day of guiding, you will be treated to a really, really good time. And on Kathy, spag bowl. They did actually have spag bowl in the staff quarters. You know, when I first got there, it was less than poor quality. And after a bit of guidance, we got it up to something that was actually quite scrumptious. So we did get some good spag bowl eventually in the end of the day. But another thing we must really consider when we're considering MalaMala above another destination, if you know, if it's leopard and lion, especially leopard, that you want to see and photograph and spend quality time with, is because it's only MalaMala jeeps on MalaMala, it means that there's a lot less vehicle pressure. So those of you who have traveled in other reserves, and you might hear your guide go, sorry guys, we have to let someone in. The dreaded sentence. I mean, I used to sometimes cry because I could see a leopard was stalking, and I could see that impala were coming down a hillside to drink, and I could see that it was going to take an hour for these two to meet, and leopards can wait all day for an opportunity. And I could see that this was a guaranteed kill. It was just almost guaranteed. You can never guarantee, but almost guaranteed kill. And I go, I really want to wait here. And I guess you know, no one's ever going to say I don't want to wait. You want to see things like a kill. They're very difficult to see. So, you know, and I'd have to go, and this is in other reserves that I've worked at, and I'd have to go, yeah, sorry guys, we have to leave. You know, there's another jeep coming in, and then the third jeep down the line gets to see exactly what I predicted, and you know, they see the kill. MalaMala, you say, guys, there's a stalk in place. I'm going to be here for a while, and you can wait there the whole day. Gerry van der Veld, most of you know Gerry of Wild Eye. When I was there with him, we waited in front of Man Camp. I literally think for about 4 or 5 hours with a leopard, Piccadilly female, and she got an impala, pulled it straight out of the sky. So this is the joy of MalaMala. You don't have that worry about, oh my word, here comes that moment, or the sun has just got right and the light is perfect and you're about to take that picture. Very seldomly do you have to go, sorry, I have to let someone in. And especially if you're into photography, they really, really, really respect photographers, the need to be patient and wait for certain moments. So you just explain on the radio, and the guide will explain, whoever that would be at the time. He'll explain, guys, I'm driving a photographic Jeep, and I'm going to need some more time. And because there's more than likely another leopard sighting, those who are driving normal guests, who're not into photography, sometimes you want to see more than just a leopard. You want to go and experience the whole thing. You go and see the other leopard, which leaves you, as a photographer, in the sighting by yourself. Sometimes, the last time I was there, literally almost every day we had a leopard to ourselves all day. Every now and again another jeep would pitch up, have a look, drive off after they'd seen enough. That is the big difference. between MalaMala and other places is you don't have someone behind you and you can literally spend from dawn to dusk with the leopard without pressure. You've really got to think about that a lot when you're choosing to spend that extra couple $100 a night. That's what you're paying for. That is what you're paying for. So that is something you really got to do. And I'm just going to show you some wildlife clips as we're going through it. Obviously, lions are incredible. One of the densest populations of lion. It's hard to say. A lot of people say the Mara is the densest population. A lot of people say Serengeti. There's a bunch of theories out there. I personally don't know how you can get more lions into one place than MalaMala. I'll tell you a funny little story. When I was here, on the right-hand side of that swimming pool is the gym. I got special permission to use it as long as I went early in the morning. So I used to get there about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning and get in a bit of a workout before game drive. And it was obviously early and I was kind of walking with my head down. I couldn't, earphones in, which is a bad habit. I know it's stupid. And I just got this feeling something was watching me. So I took my headphones off and I looked around. And just with my cell phone light, I just shone. And there was 6 female lions and 2 males of the Gerry males all lying next to the pool drinking and just watching me, because now they're obviously about 5-6 meters from me, maybe even less, some of them, right there. And they'd all just frozen and were watching me walk past because they could see I wasn't watching. And then we kind of met eyes and they growled a little bit at me. And I stepped into the gym and they carried on drinking and then they went away. So one of the great things about MalaMala is also incredibly big, dense lion population. And with lions come exciting scenes like lions on buffalo. My brother, who was the head guide at MalaMala for some time, I think he saw 4 buffalo kills in one day. In one day. In the dry season. Now, as a disclaimer, big droughts we had in South Africa a couple of years ago, they broke a couple of years ago. They've changed the way the buffalo move, so things are still coming around to normal. So they don't come as regularly as they did in the past, but MalaMala was known as the place to see buffalo kills in the dry season. Because these lions, like you see in here, would wait at the river at regular drinking spots at the buffalo. They knew every single day there's buffalo going to the highlands, they'll eat at night, and every single day they'd come drink at the same spot. Lions would wait there. Sometimes it would take 2 buffalo at once. So to see sightings like this, again, it's hard. It's not easy, but it's certainly up there with one of the best places to see lion and buffalo encounters. It's also one of the best places to see cubbies. Lion cubs, never get tired of seeing those things. Look at that. I mean, I'm not sure how you put that in a picture. Just cubs everywhere, but with high densities of lion and leopard. Yeah, look at that. You've got a very high chance of seeing cubs of both species. Very, very high chance. So it is a good place to look for it. It's also worth questioning. I'm always available if you have questions about MalaMala. And I'm always in contact with my old friends that still work there, and asking, if cubs are really something you want to see, just query about what the cub status is, because unfortunately cubs have quite a high chance of not making it to adulthood, 50% chance of not making it to adulthood. Well, I'm saying, if it's, when I was here, actually, it's quite interesting. You mentioned this, Elena. When this video was taken, the lionesses had synchronized their breeding as lionesses do to an extent. And there was about 13 or 14 cubs of this size, all running around the same spot. You could literally see them every day. So I was putting it on my social media and showing people, just like, look at all these cubs, they're everywhere. And I had people get onto planes, had no plans, and said, is there a room available? And there was, one bed available at MalaMala. They would get onto a plane from wherever they were and come fly straight away before the cubs grew up. So, it's things that we do keep track of. And if they say, listen, all this batch of cubs are 2 years old, the female at about 2 years old, the cubs become more independent, push away from their mother, and the mother will go into estrus again if they survive. If they say, hey, you know what, those cubs are old, the females are mating again, gestation period of lion is about 110 days. 110 days later, that's when you book your trip for, and you go as there's little babies being kicked out everywhere. So yeah, there's an element of planning when it comes to seeing cubs. More videos of the crazy sightings you can get there, and how there's a plethora of game, not just the big five. Wild dogs, extremely good place to see wild dogs. This is them being hassled or hassling wildebeest and zebra all day long. Again, another one of these sightings we spent hours with without any vehicle pressure, and it really, really was an incredible. It is an incredible place to see this sort of thing. And another one you can just see. I just want to put this video here: zebra, impala, wildebeest, and rhino all in the same spot. Rhino got a little edgy with the wildebeest, but he did manage to relax quite a bit. So that's all the videos I have for you tonight. That is rounding up my rant and rave about MalaMala. We actually do quite a few safaris there. One of them we combine with Shatu in Botswana, which is a hide experience, and we combine both hide experience, which is really, really cool, with the best big five game view on the continent, all in one, and it really is one of the most incredible things. But yeah, that's MalaMala, great lodge, all of them on the river. Literally, you can view these animals from your deck, and great guides. Biggest things to remember is density of wildlife is almost unmatched, and time spent with wildlife is definitely unmatched and on your own. Those of you who have been to East Africa, as much as I love East Africa, Kathy, favorite time of year for MalaMala for me is October. October, couple weeks into November. I don't mind heat. Now you must understand, Mpumalanga gets hot. Honestly, as hot, some days hotter than Mana Pools. Mashatu Terje is on the southern side of, right on the southern edge of Botswana. It actually joins the Limpopo on the other side of South Africa. So just northern South Africa, on the other side of the river, that's the Mashatu area. Really, really beautiful area. It's in a place called the Tuli Block. If you know where the Tuli Block is, Mashatu is within the Tuli Block. So Mashatu is owned by the same people. So that's why we've combined it. You go into Mashatu, you fly with the same people into Polokwane, from Polokwane to MalaMala. You spend quality time in both places. And the gallery you're going to end up with after those two experiences, because not only is Mashatu got the heights, which is incredible for seeing elephant and baboons and green pigeons, and even the occasional lion and leopard that come to that height, and you're looking across the water. You can also go out and game drive and see really good game viewing. They also have good leopard, cheetah, lion viewing in Mashatu. And then after that, you end up with MalaMala, which is just madness everywhere. Let me see. Oh, I'm glad, Elaine. I'm very glad. Botswana prices, Terje, the Mashatu is going to be similar to MalaMala in the same price range. It will be cheaper than Delta, for sure. It won't be the $2,000 a night Delta prices. It'll be much more reasonable than that. No, there's not another Mashatu in SA. No. There's similar lodges. What would be a similar one in Mashatu? There are similar ones, but no, there's not another Mashatu. There's a Swalu, which is a similar experience. Yelena, good question. Oh, yeah, hide photography, Terje, is when you're dug underneath, you're like in a hole, and their one is made out of an old shipping container, but it's made really nice and really comfortable. And you sit in the ground with a watering hole that's filled out in front of you, and elephants and stuff come to drink. I mean, their feet, you can touch their feet. You're obviously advised not to, but their feet step right next to you like this. So you're looking up at all these elephants that come and drink. And that's an eland come and drink. And like I said, if you're lucky, predators come and drink, but you have to be quite lucky. Loads of animals come to drink. So on an experience level, you're looking up at these massive creatures, which really is an awesome experience. But on a photography level, with very nice wide angle lens, 24 mil, 16 mil would even be even better. You're getting these wide shots. I'm sure you've seen those images of people with these really wide shots with big skies, big black and white, beautiful images. A lot of that comes from hide photography. And there's so many creative things you can do with it. So that's hide photography. Helena, optimum number of days to stay at MalaMala, at least 40 or 50. maybe even more, a whole year. Go for the whole year. I'm joking. No one, everyone can do that. I'd say optimum 4 nights. Optimum 4 nights. 4 nights would be the best. Melissa, yeah, 4 nights. 4 nights would be good. Yeah, Yelena, my greatest advice would be to do a guides course and go and work there for a year. Then you can do it for free and actually get paid, which would be the greatest thing. But long-term discount, there is long stay discounts for sure, especially at the moment. I think they're offering a stay 3, 1 off. Stay 3, 1 for free. Stay 3 nights, 1 night for free. So big discounts happening at the moment. So unfortunately, if you're not in South Africa at the moment, that might be a little bit tough to accomplish. However, bear in mind, I'm actually working on something at the moment. Now, a lot of us, we've had to postpone our safaris. A lot of you probably wanted to go on safari this year and you haven't. You'll also postpone your trips and travels. If you are wanting to get on safari this year, of course, we can't book these safaris now. Unfortunately, we've got to see what happens with travel bans. But we're willing to do last minute organizational trip. If you want to you must get hold of me. If you want to be part of that email chain, if the skies suddenly open up and America can travel to South Africa, UK can travel to South Africa, or Canada can travel to South Africa, Australia can travel to South Africa, whoever it is, we're going to send an email out and be like, who's keen? Prices are incredibly good. They're never going to be this good again. Are you willing to jump on the flight in 3 weeks' time and get to MalaMala for 5 nights? That kind of thing. If you want that kind of thing, we're going to be all over it. We're watching it very carefully. The second things open up, we're going to be on it. So Elaine, yes, definitely. Elaine, I must get your details. Anybody, in fact, if you just send me your email here in the chat section, I can take it down and just make sure that when these things come, the zebra migration, I haven't actually seen it myself. I've seen edges of it when I've driven home, but I haven't properly witnessed it, Elizabeth. I'd love to see it. I'd really love to see it. I'd love to see it from the air even more. Thank you, Elaine. I'll take your email address. Mark, good question. I like that question. I'll take all these email addresses down. Let me just put it over here. Mark's question is there a time to avoid MalaMala? Not really, not at all. So even obviously it has its high season and its low season. Sorry, let me write this down so I don't forget. So its low season is obviously rainy season. So rainy season is kind of end of November, December, January, February, March, April, May. Lots of grass growth, lots of water, animals spread out. The game viewing is not as good. Still very pretty to photograph, but when I say not as good, it is still good. This is the great thing about MalaMala, is even in the low season, the game viewing is exceptional. Better than most places in their high season because the predator density is so much, 11.5 leopard per 100 kilometers squared. It's a lot of leopard. And it's the highest density. So even in the rainy season, it's still very good. But if you have to choose, I'd still go what we sometimes call a shoulder season or secret season. Sometimes we call it, which is at the end of the peak season. So November, December, you're going to get a slightly better price. There's a chance that it hasn't rained as much, so the game viewing is still really good. It is hot, but don't worry about heat. You'll get used to it. Thanks for your email addresses, everyone. I'm definitely going to send you an email and make sure that you're on that list for. It will be kind of spur of the moment stuff. We've actually just booked a safari for some of our South African clients there off to the Sabi Sands later, not too long from now. Unfortunately, obviously they're from South Africa, so it's a little bit easier for them to do it. But things can change like this, and we'll get hold of you if stuff changes. And no, we don't have any scheduled safaris going, but I'm confident we can sneak in some high quality safaris near the end of this year and for an incredible price. So we'll definitely keep you posted. Let me just make sure I've got All the email addresses. Yeah. Good. Myra. Take Myra. There we go. All right. Lovely. I'm excited. I'm excited people are keen to travel. And honestly, if you are a traveler of Africa, without being biased, and I'm not biased, I've worked in a lot of places, and I respect them all, and the experience is so different everywhere. Everywhere has got such value. But you have to see MalaMala before you stop seeing Africa. It must be on your list somewhere. To just go and experience all that craziness, all the leopards seeming like they're everywhere, and the lions and interactions between predators. You really, really must see it. Yes, Elizabeth, I've got you. I've got all those emails. Good. Elizabeth, no, you don't need a yellow fever jab for South Africa. No, it's more equatorial countries. I think Zambia and northwards is yellow fever. Zimbabwe, I don't think you need it for Zimbabwe. Zambia northwards. So I think you'll be good there. Any other questions, guys, on this wonderful place? I love raving about it. I can't rave about it enough. It is a game viewing sensation of all kinds, and it is joined to Kruger National Park. Although it's a game reserve, it's not fenced, which is one of the greatest things. I actually didn't mention that, which is one of the beauties of it, is that it's not fenced, as it's surrounded by other game reserves, and it borders Kruger National Park, which is obviously one of the largest national parks in Africa. So technically, you are seeing a very, very big area indeed. Right. Elaine, Swiss Air offering great prices on their flights to South Africa. Good news. Stay tuned. Well, I do have your email addresses. I've got a question here whether the wildlife in Okavango Delta is comparable to MalaMala. It's a good question. And the answer is no, it's not really comparable because it's such a different habitat. The Okavango Delta is so stunning and so unique. You can see really good game viewing in places in pretty much all of the Delta. But if you were to say seeing leopard was your thing, you had to see leopard, there's no question that MalaMala is a better option. You can go to the Delta and not see them because it's a different environment completely, and it's a much bigger area. So although the wildlife is there, and it's the wildlife of the Okavango Delta is probably as prolific as MalaMala, just the way it's set up with the water sources. There's a lot of areas you can't travel that if it's leopard and lion, you have to see them close up, and you have to have these personal encounters. MalaMala is definitely better, but as an experience, it's not a better experience than the Okavango Delta because the Okavango Delta is so unique. You do coral safaris, driving through the water, and there's palm trees and palm belts. Oh my God, it's so beautiful, it's crazy. The experience is definitely on par with MalaMala. I hope that answers your question. It's not too confusing. That's another thing. Those of you who are still online, I'm not going to keep you for too much longer, but MalaMala, you can off-road. It is extremely, extremely important that you can off-road. Now, I know a lot of reserves say, no, we can off-road, we can do this, but they end up throwing in little sneaky rules and most of the time, not all the time, most of the time for good reason, for environmental reasons, to limit the impact vehicles have on the environment. Some places take it to a completely different level where it's actually a little bit detrimental to the experience and not for much good reason. In MalaMala, because there's few jeeps and no one else can traverse in MalaMala, unless it's rained and the soil is unstable, you can off-road. And when you're trying to get that special angle for an animal, that makes the biggest difference. When you can get off the road a little bit and get in front of it, or get with the sun behind it, or do something different, makes a tremendous difference. So bear that in mind too. All right, everyone. Well, fantastic to have you here. Great, Dr. Farrington. Mark, you must let me know if you have any more questions. I'll help you out. And also I'll help you out with specific things, timings, when to go, which guide to use. So important. So important. I'll make sure I'll get all of that and I'll help you do it. Yeah, hopefully we do see you for another trip, Mark. It's great having you in the Mara. Indeed. Thanks, Yelena. Absolute pleasure. Cheers, Druchi. Cheers, Mandeep. Good to have you here. Cheers, Marie. Nice to have you here, Marie. Cheers, everyone. Oh, lots of messages coming through. Sorry. Cheers, everyone. I missed quite a few there. Take care. All the best. Cheers, Tim. Cheers, Biz. There's Christine, Anne, everyone. I don't know. I think I've missed quite a few of you there. Have a great evening. And I hope I'll see you in MalaMala one day. All the best. Cheers.